Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So today I thought I would share with you some of the best books that I have read so far in 2019. One, because I just want to kind of give you a little wrap up, just tell you about the kind of things I've been reading this year, and secondly I also want to do this for myself, just to remind myself about all the great books I have read so far this year. So I only have 4 books to talk about because so far this year I have wholeheartedly only fell in love with 4 books. But that's fine, it's only April, so there's so much more time, and without further ado I'm going to go into it. So the first novel I read and absolutely adored was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, and this is an adult contemporary romance kind of thing. So this book is about a character called Eleanor who has the same routine every single day. She's a massive creature of habit. She just gets up, goes to work, comes home, cracks open a bottle of vodka, and that's literally her. The only kind of thing that's slightly strange about her routine is that every Wednesday she speaks to her mother, who is nowhere near her, and we don't really find out where her mother is. So one day she's walking down the road and she sees a man have a fall, like an older guy. He falls to the ground, and her and a colleague called Raymond go to rush to his aid, and then things start to go a little bit skew-whiff from there as she has all these new experiences because she's met so many new people. So that's going on, and you're just basically following Eleanor as she navigates her way through life, as she's experiencing all these things she's never experienced before, but she definitely should have by now because she's an adult. And it's just a story about love, about friendship, and about coming to terms with things that have happened in your life. So a big chunk of Eleanor's life you kind of don't know about because she keeps it to herself, and that you kind of find out is because she hasn't really come to terms with it and hasn't dealt with it. So you're following her through this story. Everything that she's kind of doing in her life is helping her come to terms with elements from her past that she doesn't really want to address. So you'll find out all about that during your read. So yeah, this was really great. It was at times really fluffy and lighthearted and hilarious. Raymond is such a great character. He's like the ideal best friend. He's so supportive, he's so lovely. And yeah, it's just at times really lovely and fluffy, but then at times it's like, I want to say heartbreaking. I think I remember like crying at some point during reading this book, especially at the end, which I obviously won't spoil for you. So yeah, it's heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. It's just a really lovely read, so I definitely recommend it. So the next book is kind of the first YA fantasy that I read. I've read all my life, but I've started my reading journey again from November. I think it was around November, and since then I've been reading literally non-stop. So the first YA fantasy kind of book I picked up was Scythe by Neil Shusterman, which is obviously a dystopia. And I absolutely love this so much, and I think I have this book to thank for my favourite genre being YA fantasy. You can tell that my shelves are full of it right now. It's 100% my favourite genre, and I thank this book because if it wasn't for my love for this book, I don't think I would have picked up as much YA fantasy. So basically, Scythe is set in a dystopian future where no natural death can occur. So you can't die of old age, you can't die from illness or disease, and your body can like rejuvenate itself. Even like if someone like kills you, you come back to life. The only way you can die is if you are gleaned or killed by a scythe, which is someone who decides who to kill and kills a certain amount of people every year to keep population down. So the story follows Citra and Rowan are 2 male and female characters, and they are hired as scythe apprentices. So that is, you can already tell there's going to be beef and there's going to be issues, but you're exploring the idea of this and whether it's moral or not. Morality is definitely the running theme of this novel. Like, at first obviously Citra and Rowan are so mad and they can't believe that they're going to have to kill people, but then you sort of see that this may be the only way to keep population down, and that gleaning may actually be necessary. So that's a really interesting idea that's explored in this novel. And the one thing I didn't like about this was the romance, because I'm not really a big fan of romance, and in this case I thought it was kind of like insta-love, like instant love. So I didn't love it. If it gets more development in the second book, which I'm yet to read, then I'm fine with that. I think it just needs a little bit more. I didn't see much chemistry between the two characters that the romance occurs for. So I'd love to see that developed. But yeah, apart from that, I think this is an amazing book. If you've never read dystopian novels before, I think this is a good place to start because it's very easy, it's simple to follow, and the characters are amazing. The idea of morality is super interesting. And yeah, I think it's a great read, so definitely check it out. So the next book I have already spoke about in my March wrap up, but I have to include it in this video because I loved it so much more than I thought I would, and that is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So this is a novel about a family in America who are quite well off, and they have their own little, I think it's like a private island type thing, and they visit every summer. Like the whole family gets together and they spend the summer there. And there's a group of cousins, like a young group of like teenagers that this book follows. Cadence is the main character, and she had a couple of years off visiting the island for summer because she had an accident. She's finally ready to return, and she wants to piece together what happened. She cannot remember the accident, she cannot remember what occurred, so she is trying to piece together all her missing elements of her life. And yeah, this is a really great book. It's really short, so you could probably read it in like, good readers can read this in one sitting, 100%. It took me I think 2 sittings, like 2 pretty brief sittings, but the main thing I loved about this book was the characters, because every single character I absolutely adored, which is kind of rare. Like there's normally one character that you think you don't really like, but everyone in this book I thought brought something to the table, and it was really interesting. Family dynamics are explored here, which I am a sucker for. I just love the family feuds and the love and what really can propel you in a relationship. Like, do you really love this person, or are you trying to gain something out of it? So that was really interesting. Following Cadence as she discovers what happened to her was interesting as well, like finding out for yourself like what the accident was, who was hurt, how they were hurt. That was really interesting. So if you like kind of a quick, light contemporary that has a really great ending, the twist at the end is literally insane. So if you love that sort of thing, definitely check it out. You'll literally be able to read it in one go. And yeah, I think it's a really great book. Ignore the reviews and just go in from what I've told you. I hope you will enjoy it. So the next book I can't actually show you because I don't have it on me. I've lent it to my mum because I loved it so much. And that of course is The Cruel Prince. You will know how much I love this if you watch my March wrap up. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I completely adored it. So The Cruel Prince is a YA fantasy about a character called Jude who sees her mother's and her father killed in front of her, and her sisters are kidnapped by the murderer and taken into a fairyland. So obviously her and her sisters aren't very accepted into this world because they are humans, and the fairies are very stuck up and they are kind of just horrible. And it's not an easy time for Jude and her sisters. Well, one of her sisters is part fairy, so she's okay, but for her and her other sister it's a very tough time. The main idea that's explored in this novel is the monarchy, and there's a lot of political intrigue. So if you love stuff that's gonna like shock you and make you go, oh my god, how dare they, then you will absolutely love this. So the characters, the setting, like the best thing about this book is the setting, because Holly Black just creates the most beautiful imagery, and everything, all the settings, even the characters are just described as being so beautiful, which is so nice to read, and you just have the nicest images in your head. So for that alone, I think it's worth reading. But the characters are really great. Obviously the title is The Cruel Prince, so you know that some of them aren't very nice people, but they, like We Were Liars, they bring something amazing to the table, and every scene is just tense, and I just can't talk about it properly because it's just so great. So if you love fantasy and you're interested in reading something very intriguing to do with politics and monarchy, and you love reading about beautiful places, then definitely check this out. So that is my little wrap up of all the best books I have read so far this year. I know I didn't talk about many books, but I've only really fallen in love with 4 books this year, which is fine because it's only April. But yeah, they're the best ones. Please comment down below if you've read any of those, or if you want to talk about any book, recommend me any book. pop a comment down below. I love chatting about books. I will always talk about books with you, so please do that. Also subscribe if you think we're going to get along. Obviously if you like some of the books I've mentioned or you're interested in them, definitely subscribe, because those are the sort of books I'll be making content on. Leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!